Hello world, Jay Sherm here. In today's episode, I have Kevin Vincent. He's the VP of Global Business Development at UtopiaVR, a really cool Metaverse company. And today we're going to talk about where virtual meetings are headed in the future. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Jay, thanks so much for having me today. I appreciate the opportunity to have a conversation about this.
Yeah, and for the people watching this, for people listening, you can't see this, but if you happen to watch the YouTube video, I'm actually in this really cool VR room with you on my desktop where I'm kind of moving you around the room where I want to put you, which is kind of cool. And tell me a little bit about the interface in terms of, before we get into the topics, like the interface. How, you said I'm like a filmmaker here, right? I'm like a cinematographer almost, right?
Yeah, the beauty of WebXR, which of course is not unique to our company. We're one of several companies that are in the space. The beauty of WebXR is you have this unique desktop control of your environment, including your surroundings, including your camera streams, including anything that you want to customize your environment with. Whether it's still images, whether it's PDF files, whether it's PowerPoints, it's entirely up to you. And you get to choose how your environment looks and feels.
It's really cool. I mean, I'm literally, while Kevin's talking, for people that are watching, I'm moving him around the room. I'm hearing him in different headphones. This is like the future of meetings, in my opinion. And in a pandemic where everybody had to resort to using Zoom fatigue, Zoom, and this new, in the zeitgeist now, we have this term, Zoom fatigue. What happened, man? Like, what happened to virtual meetings? What was the urgency? Why did people get so tired of meetings? And what's your take on it?
Well, I think that there's a couple of things there to really unpack, Jay. One is this. I think Zoom is sort of caught in the crosshairs of all of meeting fatigue is really what it is. It's not Zoom fatigue so much as it is meeting fatigue, because all of a sudden there's no travel time in between meetings. Like, you don't go from one part of the building to another or from one location to another. So it's not like you get a break. And I think Zoom fatigue is twofold. Number one, it has everything to do with the fact that there are meetings that are now scheduled back to back to back, from 9 o'clock in the morning until noon. And then you get your lunch break. And then there's another meeting at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. And then you go home and you try and shut things off. So I think Zoom kind of got caught in the middle of video conferencing, which has been around for a long time. But the other thing that I think is really important around Zoom fatigue, and again, it's not specific to Zoom, but it's video conferencing, and that is you're staring at a screen and you're looking at multiple images of multiple people, and if somebody picks up a cup of coffee like I'm about to do here right now, everybody's watching that person drink their coffee. If somebody scratches their ear, they're watching them scratch their ear. If a dog runs in the room and you're trying to tell the dog to be quiet, everybody's watching that person that's up on the screen. So I think that all factors into it. There's all kinds of academic studies as well that are out there that I haven't read, and I don't plan on reading either. But I do know that I think it's more meeting fatigue than it is Zoom fatigue. Yeah. Thank goodness for Zoom, because a lot of work would not have gotten done over the last couple of years had it not been for companies like Zoom.
Yeah, because like this couldn't have happened, 20, 30 years ago, or, any other decade. The technology we had during the pandemic definitely alleviated the stresses of working from home. Mm-hmm. And speaking of seeing people on camera, I mean, there were a lot of issues with people doing the wrong thing, a lot of distractions, people falling asleep, people doing, other things like that. So you mentioned maybe being on camera might not have been a good idea, but I see behind you here in this room, I'm going to go over here now and I'm going to see Kevin, the avatar. So tell me a little bit about having an avatar and, why that's what you guys are focusing on.
Well, the avatar represents your physical presence in an environment. Now, the cool thing when it comes to education, when it comes to retail environments, is the ability to be physically present in the environment. So the avatar represents you. Now, it's optional to, in our case, to be able to activate the camera and to be able to have a visual experience as well with the person that you're communicating with. And I'll use a really big and broad example for Walmart has already trained a lot of their U.S. employees. In fact, I think they said most recently that they had trained almost all of their employees in certain facets using virtual reality technology. You can see the day in the not too distant future, Jason, where instead of this, this beautiful podcast studio or tech center, as we call it, you're going to be able to walk into a virtual Walmart on your computer. Instead of shopping at walmart.com, it might be walmartvr.com as an avatar. And you're going to be able to interact with somebody in Idaho in their pajamas who's working for Walmart. And you can ask them, hey, I need some of this, this, and this today. Can you show me where it is? And you can literally walk up to it and experience what that product looks like and decide whether or not it's something you want to purchase. Same thing goes for education. Same thing goes for retail and manufacturing. Let's
talk about the office environment, right? Because like right now, sure. For example, I'm interviewing you, or say I work with you. I don't want to jump on a Zoom because, like you said, there's a lot of distractions and whatnot. How does Utopia VR change the way that I now interact with you in a meeting environment or a work environment or a teaching environment? What are the main differences that show a huge difference in where it's headed?
I always boil it down to one simple sentence. When you're in an environment like this, you feel like you are in a meeting rather than looking at a meeting. That's the simplest way to put it.
Interesting.
And there's an extraordinary difference. We did a tour recently for a large group of people that want to use our platform out of Chicago. And that tour started at 9:00 at night. At 1:45 in the morning, we had to cut it off. and one of the guys said, "Hey, listen, you know what? This was amazing." They said, "I don't feel like I was in a meeting. I felt like I was just almost like bar hopping, going from one scene to another as we were giving them a tour." So it's a feeling. And we all talk about building community. The difference here is you're not just building community, you're building connectivity. And you actually feel that in your bones when you're meeting in an environment like this.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this podcast now for a YouTube channel for probably 7 or 8 years, podcast for 3 years. And every single time I do it, it feels like, an interview. Here I'm in a really cool room with windows on the ceiling and I see a beach in the background and I feel like I'm having some fun with you as opposed to interviewing you. It does kind of feel like I'm in a new environment. The fact that I can move around while I'm there is also really cool. I'm assuming you can put a presentation on that big screen behind you or a video or something to talk about while we're in a meeting or whatnot. If it's a teacher, they can teach on that. That's pretty cool, right? So Is that where this is headed? This is more of a literal, real life version of what we would have been doing in person, but now in this environment?
Absolutely. And it's not so much, Jay, where it's headed. It's here now. It's functional. It's fully functional. You're absolutely right. Typically in a Zoom meeting, somebody goes to share their screen. The first question they ask is, can you see that? Can you see my screen? Right? And so now you're sort of trapped into that conversation. Here, you can preload everything, whether it's a PDF, a PowerPoint, a video. It can all be preloaded into your environment so that it's ready when your audience is there.
That's really interesting. So it's almost kind of like an actual room that you're in, like in real life, where you have paperwork on the desk, you have a screen projector behind you, you have a DVD player with the video or a computer with the video, whatever. It's the same thing, but it's all virtual. So that's really, really cool. I mean, what are the other incentives for using this over a video conferencing tool?
Well, I think there are several things. Number one is a video conferencing tool, and I'll use Zoom and Microsoft Teams, Cisco's WebEx as an example. When you're done with the platform, when you're done using that as a tool, the meeting's over. There's no additional value there. Here, you can have legacy value from this room. So let's say you've toured a group of individuals through here and you wanted to show off some technology or you wanted to show off a particular product. That can live here in this space indefinitely as an ongoing tool, not just a meeting place. The other thing, another one of the great advantages here is Jason, if you wanted to, you could invite half a dozen to maybe 20 people to come and sit here and watch you record this podcast.
Wow.
As an audience. They could participate as an audience as well.
That's pretty cool. And could I come back later? Like, let's say you did a presentation for me, you're teaching me something, or I'm an investor and I watched your pitch and I want to come back because I had some more questions, or I wanted to watch your presentation again or watch a video. Could I just come back to this room when I feel like it, click play and do it all over again, and watch the different, yeah.
Yeah, the answer is both yes and no. The answer is, excuse me, I was going to clear my throat. The answer is yes, in the sense that the person who, or the individual who set up the room has total control over that. So they can close it, they can make it private, they can make it open. Cool. The cool thing is, let's think of it like as a retail environment for a moment. If it's a retail environment, it's a web tab. So if somebody pops into this room, a little doorbell goes off. So you could be sitting at your computer doing a Word document or sharing an email or responding to an email. All of a sudden, a doorbell goes off and you go, oh, someone's in my room. What's going on? You go in. So if you're an artist, might be somebody that's coming in to look at your art or your NFTs. We've got that happening.
So wait a minute. Well, hold on a second. My brain just went. So you're telling me I could set up a retail space in this room, showing off clothing or shoes or handbags or whatever. Someone comes in the room through a web tab, doorbell goes off, and a VR associate comes up to me and says, hey, Jason, I see you're in my store. What are you looking for? And I could say, hey, I'm looking for a new pair of jeans. I could look at jeans and buy them?
Not only is it a VR associate, it could be you as well. Right, if it's your environment, you can do that.
So webcam and VR, and then we're talking NFT. So I can have a virtual environment where. So wait, you just showed a Pepsi can came on the screen here. So
I just brought that Pepsi can in. Yeah.
So I can grab that, move it around. I'm going to put it on the table over here. That's pretty crazy. So you can bring items to sell into these. This is way more than meetings. So this is where it's headed, right? And you're saying it's already here. Forget where it's headed. This new experience, Utopia VR and other virtual realities out there, you're telling me it's literally as if I'm in the real world. I can buy, I can see, I can talk to associates at stores and retail. What are we talking about here, man? What's the goal?
It's all possible. The only thing that's in the way is creating the assets that you want to be able to go into the environment. We're working with a young woman right now out of Canada who sells luxury towels to luxury hotels that are made out of recycled material. And the hotels are just eating them up. So she's created her own little retail environment where she's able to walk potential clients through and actually show them the towels in 3 dimensions. So and you know what's really interesting, Jay, is this, and I was going to hold it up. The iPhone 12 and above now has built-in LiDAR where you're able to scan these objects and with a little bit of software tweaking, bring them in. So you're going to have 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old kids. So this is going to become just ubiquitous in their world, and they're going to be able to do this. And us adults are going to sit back in wonderment and go like, "Wow, look what that 11-year-old did on this kind of a platform."
It's very exciting. So I'm really impressed with all this. I think that the future of VR it's not the future. It's already here, like you said. We are now meeting in these rooms with virtual, avatars with webcams, so I can see the person. Presentations. You can bring in assets. I'm loving all this. What do you think people should be looking for in the next 5-10 years if they want to be involved with something like this? What are they? What are the top 3 things they should look at so they don't miss out on something like this?
Well, I think the number one thing, and I always give this as a recommendation to people, is this. Our platform, as an example, is free at the moment. So you can actually set up an account on our platform for free. And I'm not here to give a big sales pitch about it. I mean, about our platform. I think you're sharing what is possible with us in a wonderful way, and I appreciate that. But for example, if you set up an account on our platform, every single one of us has lost a loved one somewhere in the past. Mother, father, grandfather, grandmother, somebody who died too young. And we all talk about celebrations of life. So one of the easy ways to get your foot sort of in the metaverse, so to speak, and experience it is to set up a tribute room where you can bring in images and videos and photographs that are special about that person, and set up a special room, like a little museum in honor of that person, and get together with family members like you and I are right now as avatars, but also turn our cameras on and share in the memory of that person. So that's one way that people can do it right now. You can do that right now.
Wow.
And if you're and you don't have to be a business person or an entrepreneur to do that. Anybody can do it.
Or beloved pets, right?
Pets. I listen. I know there are people doing it. Fan pages. I'm a huge fan of the show called Yellowstone on Amazon right now, and I've got a real fan crush on one of the characters. So I set up a
tribute,
a room for a tribute to Beth Dutton.
Oh my God.
I think she's one of the greatest TV characters in ages.
That's great.
And so I've got this fan tribute room set up for her where people can literally just go in and hang out, just like you and I are hanging out in this environment right now, and just marvel in some of these famous quotes and memes that are out there.
That's cool.
About Beth Dutton. So yeah, so that's another way. The retail and the business, listen, some of the biggest companies, as you know, in the world, they're all looking to develop three-dimensional environments.
Right.
That's what the metaverse is. It's just a better internet. The metaverse is not a noun. It's an adjective. It's describing a better internet.
Love it. This was great, man. My eyes have been opened way more than they were before, thanks to you and Utopia VR, Kevin. This was really, really awesome. I appreciate you coming.
Jay, it's my pleasure. And if I can help somewhere down the line with additional shows or clients, I'm here to help. Our philosophy is that a rising tide lifts all boats, and so we're here to help as much as possible.
That's great. And yeah, I do work on a lot of stuff. For example, I just released a documentary that's now streaming online called Cutting Corners, about unsafe construction. And it would be really cool to have it on the screen right there behind you and have a room full of people that can watch it all together. That's kind of like a cool idea, movie screenings. I mean, that right there in the pandemic was a really tough logistical nightmare for me to try to put these together because of the COVID and everything. So that's just
we have a screening studio specifically for that purpose, where you can have about 20 people in a room comfortably. It literally feels like you are in a private movie screening studio where you can watch it all together.
I can think of a million ideas of what we could do with this. My current NFT project coming out, we can have collection parties and all that stuff, launch parties. We're going to be talking, you and I, Kevin. And again, Kevin, thanks. Appreciate it. And hopefully everyone likes Utopia VR. They can check you out at utopiavr.com and sign up for free to try it out and see what they think. And as always, leave comments. Tell us what you think about the platform. Any kind of maybe cool features you might want to see in the future from Kevin and his company. And as always, I will see you in next week's episode.